I'm an architect with architectural attitudes. There's so little understanding of architecture in this country generally that I think it's worth starting with the fact that, okay, we are about style, but we're also about so much more. Architects or architecture and the profession is a thinking profession. We sometimes find a way of asking the questions where we stand a problem on its head. I'm here because of the Wells Cathedral School and the fact that I was involved in assessing a competition which Eric Parry won, and that's why I'm here. I don't know whether you realize that you're sitting on a national asset. Okay, I'm an architect, and you might not see it quite the same way as I do, but whether, one goes to... I was at Bryanston the other day. I knew a lot of Bryanstonians at Cambridge. I just couldn't believe the environment. I used to go to Tunbridge, yet I competed for their new sports hall, and the 18 pitches with a county ground. And but it's not just the fact of your resource. It is, I think, of national importance. This is the Wells Cathedral School. This is an environment that can only say is sublime. Performance halls are interesting in any event because, yes, they always have to be multi-functional, and therefore they have to solve all sorts of acoustic problems, particularly if you're part of a school that has this national cachet. It's probably not just a national, but an international cachet, the specialism of music. Just to tell you a little bit about myself and why I have that I can stand here and talk about school, because I seem to have been at school most of my adult architectural life. Dennis Silk, who you probably all remember as headmaster at Radley, said, "Colin, you're in the springtime of your senility," which, yes, didn't go down too well. So after university, my university at Cambridge, yes, I didn't feel I had the best academic, but what Cambridge taught me was really the environment, the physical environment of Gibbs and Hawksmoor and Wren and Inigo Jones and Wilkins. And then, of course, the contemporary scene, starting with Lasdun at Christ, where I was at Christ, Sterling, Jim Sterling, Casson, Powell and Moyer, Cullinan, McCormack, and Foster. Those are resounding names. Hampshire had indulged a system. Now, I'm quite certain that this is going to be part of the conversation today. I'd find it very difficult to find any sort of antidote to the sort of systems that were being developed in the 50s and 60s. They were so rational. I'm talking about Scholar, Class, Mace. They were rational, dry kit of parts construction. They were industrial-made components, beautiful components with central development groups. There was a bulk purchase system for economy, and it was about flexibility, economic, flexible. How could you oppose? When I arrived in Hampshire, there were 1,000 schools in Hampshire, of which 100 schools were secondary schools. So that's some estate. Here I am talking to you about your estates, which were very beautiful. But the estates that I was faced with had all these system buildings. And system building had actually created a spirit of mind which had not started imbuing the aspiration to education of wonderful ideas. It had become institutionally impoverished. And therefore, everyone supported me when I said, no, we're going to do schools that are going to be individually designed in particular contexts. I also indulged Kenneth Frampton and critical regionalism, and we began to build up a reputation. Bedales came to us, and we did the refurbishment of Bedales. They also had a performance hall, which finally we didn't do. I think it was Field and Clegg. I'm mentioning particular names, but it's all very well saying, you know, you can choose your architects out of yellow pages, but you can't. There is a point where you really have to take care in your selection, not just of architects, but designers, landscape architects, and so on. At Bedford, the Bedford School, and I mention this particularly because Eric did his first performance hall at Bedford School. This is a private school. It's an educational industry. It's an educational industry. That's what I'm talking about here. You are about an educational industry. You're invading the world. You know, a little school like Cranley builds one in Abu Dhabi. Schools in Hong Kong. You know, my students come back to me. We're promoting schools all over the world, essentially through this sense of being an educational industry. Schools ought to be welcoming places because some of your environments are sublime, are so attractive. They are a national asset. All our schools are about passive energy. I'm going to finish with, if we ever had a party for the county council in Winchester, the director of education was always infuriated because we invariably had it at Winchester College. These are amazing, beautiful cloisters. This is a 14th century cloister with a chapel in the middle. And that chapel has been, okay, it now serves as their music room. And this is a memorial garden designed by Baker, who worked with Lutyens. What is interesting is that neither of these two cloisters add in any functional way to the education of the school. They're just beautiful places. It's a hybrid because it's neither classical nor vernacular, but what it does do is accumulate the legacy of all the learnt building during the 19th century. You won't find rainwater pipes or rainwater gutters on this building and the diminishing towers because it's all controlled. It doesn't stain. It's just a lyrical experience for anyone who knows about building and the experience of the history. And this is just a beautiful place. So I finish by saying, how do you make an intervention? What you can't do is be to hold back. You've got to hang on to the sort of, not only the aspiration, but the confidence of a sense of place. So if I have a message today, it's really how you select your consultants, because they're not just designers, and you understand the context and learning how to be an enlightened client. Thank you.